couple of months ago, I started making videos on the corruption in the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures produced by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And in reality, before I started making those videos, I probably should have made this video first, but I didn't, so I guess better late than never. What I want to do in this video is explain two things. The first thing I want to explain is my purpose and intent in making the videos. And the second thing I'd like to explain is my use of the Kingdom Interlinear translation, which I've already used in some of the videos, and I'm actually going to be using quite a bit more in the upcoming videos on the New World Translation. First things first, why am I making so many videos about the New World Translation? Well, let me say that it's my firm belief after studying this book closely that the problems within this version of the Scriptures goes far beyond a couple of poorly translated verses and slips quickly into a serious pattern of corruption. And I believe that most of this corruption is aimed at supporting key doctrines and unique doctrines of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society that they would have a very difficult time supporting through any standard version of the Scriptures. And as time goes on, and as I make more and more videos on the New World Translation, it's my hope to prove that this isn't, as I said, just a couple of verses here and a couple of verses there. There are literally hundreds of questionable translations within the pages of this book. And now I just wanted to make a few points about the Kingdom Interlinear translation of the Greek Scriptures. One of the reasons I wanted to clarify a few things about my use of this book is that I'm going to be using it a lot more now than I have in the past. And a lot of people don't realize that this is actually a second English edition of the Christian Greek Scriptures that the Watchtower produces. The New World Translation is one translation that they produce, but the word-for-word English translation under the Greek in this book is actually a second translation that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society has authorized. So they actually have two versions of the Scriptures in English, not just one. Now there's a couple of reasons that that's really important. Number one is that a particular verse in this book, the Kingdom Interlinear, may read very different than a verse in the New World Translation. And so what's a person to do at that point where you have the same organization with two different translations of the Bible, where those two different translations are at odds with each other? Well, I think I can answer that question from page 5 of the Kingdom Interlinear, and this is under a heading by way of explanation. I'm just going to read a couple of quick paragraphs that I think are going to help everybody understand why I think that the Kingdom Interlinear is the parent and the New World Translation is the child, and we should always defer to the rendering in the Kingdom Interlinear over the rendering in the New World Translation. Let me start by reading this paragraph. The purpose behind the publishing of the Kingdom Interlinear translation of the Greek Scriptures is to aid seekers of truth and life. Its literal interlinear English translation is specially designed to open up to the students of the sacred Scriptures what the original Koine Greek basically or literally says. I'm going to skip down a little bit. It goes on to say this, and this is the very important part right here. The word-for-word interlinear translation and the New World Translation are arranged in parallels on the page, so that comparison can be made between the two readings. Thus, the accuracy of any modern translation can be determined. Now, certainly, the Watchtower publishers here are not telling you to assess the accuracy of the Greek or the word-for-word literal translation. by the translation, New World Translation. They're telling you that if you use the Greek and the word-for-word translation, that you can determine the accuracy of any translation, and that would include determining the accuracy of the New World Translation. So therefore, the Kingdom Interlinear is the parent, and the New World Translation is the child. And as we look at a verse and we see these verses out of harmony with each other and at odds with each other in their wording, the Kingdom Interlinear, even by the standards of the publisher, is the more accurate and literal reading of the verse. That's what makes the Kingdom Interlinear such a useful tool, or it's at least one of the reasons that it makes it such a useful tool. And as far as the Greek text contained within the Kingdom Interlinear translation, I've never heard any criticism that it's been altered in any way. It's my firm belief that the Watchtower printed it faithfully, and it's exactly as it appears in the Westcott Report. I've heard nothing or seen nothing to the contrary. And as far as the word-for-word translation, the Jehovah's Witnesses' second translation contained in the Kingdom Interlinear, I actually think it's pretty good. There are a couple places that I would take issue with, just as a, for instance, the use of obeisance in certain areas for proskuneo, which is worship. In regards to Jesus, there's a couple places where it tends to have some problems, but for the most part, for the overwhelming majority of the translation, it's a very accurate translation, and I really don't see too much of a problem with it except for a couple places. So in the future, I'm going to be talking a lot more about the Kingdom Interlinear. I'm going to be going over a lot more verses, and I'm also going to be digging into some of the footnoting in the Kingdom Interlinear, because there's some really interesting stuff within the footnotes, particularly surrounding the use of Jehovah in the Christian Greek scriptures and the J documents that they use to support it. And that's all I have in this video, and should have made this video a long time ago, but like I said, better late than never. So this is kind of a preface to all the other videos I've been making on the New World Translation. Thank you for listening, and God bless.